What's going on, Packers fans? Aaron Nagler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. It is Friday. That's right. As we head off into the weekend, one last chance to talk some Green Bay Packers as the conference championships are set to happen on Sunday without said Green Bay Packers. So I suppose I'll show a passing interest in the outcome of those games. But much more importantly, Green Bay Packers reportedly have started to interview candidates for their defensive coordinator spot. And whoo, boy, Packers fans, the overreactions were quick on Twitter. Of course, that's kind of redundant. That's what Twitter's about. But Brandon Staley, whoo, baby, there are some really, really big, unhappy Packers fans about the idea of Brandon Staley, former Chargers head coach and Rams defensive coordinator, coordinating the defense in Green Bay. And I will just say, I get it. I understand it. But let's take a breath and let the process play out. And something to remember when dealing with any of these names that we've heard now, I believe 4 have been confirmed throughout the morning, afternoon of this January day. But I'm sure there will be more names to come. But something to remember, and I've seen a lot of this already today, is, oh, he being, say, a linebackers coach or a defensive backs coach. Oh, those defensive backs didn't look good in this one game I watched. Or, oh, the opposing team scored a lot of points against his defense, of which he was, coaching one specific position group. I don't want him involved with the Packers. Just remember that what these guys are going to be asked to do in Green Bay with and for Matt LaFleur will undoubtedly be quite different than what they've been asked to do in previous stops, just because they've been working in a certain system, maybe in their young football life, even throughout their tenure in the NFL, doesn't mean that they can't start doing something else or bring in other elements. Lots of times guys spend their time in the league collecting ideas, getting things together where if I ever run my own shop, I'm going to do this. And then, of course, there's what Matt LaFleur wants. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the Packers defense improved pretty significantly and noticeably after the Tampa game this year, where he said he needed to get more involved on that side of the ball. I don't suspect for a moment that he's withholding those things from whoever he's interviewing here, whether it's Staley or what have you. But yeah, just because, yes, we've seen some high profile losses, games where maybe dudes and their charges didn't play their best or didn't seem to be desirable. That doesn't mean they won't do a good job automatically when they come to Green Bay. And look, I know I'm just kind of spitting into the wind here. People are going to be mad about whoever the Packers hire. I'm pretty sure about that. There's someone somewhere will be poking holes in whoever's resume, and we can all get to, throwing tomatoes at our screen when they give up their first 3rd and long. I look forward to it. Just asking for a little patience, take a breath. Just it's the weekend. Have a cocktail, maybe read the paper in the morning, and just breathe. Just breathe a little bit. I promise you. A, we got a long way to go, because I do not doubt for a moment that Matt LaFleur is going to interview more than 4 people. And B, we don't know what he's asking them to do and what he's looking for. We do know so far that the kind of the aged retreads seem to be missing from the list, which is, I think, a good thing. I think Matt undoubtedly wants someone who can grow with his program, and I'm excited about that prospect. Hello to everybody in the comment section. Good to see everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Brandy's here. Hello, Brandy. You've got to be like the happiest person on earth in the post-Joe Barry era. William is asking about Marquand Manuel. I would love him. The idea of getting Marquand back in the fold, so to speak, clearly been working with a really good defense out there with the Jets. He's highly regarded by everyone I've ever spoken to in the coaching profession and or in the NFL in general. I know he interviewed for the defensive the defensive coordinator position in Jacksonville, which ultimately went to the former Falcons defensive coordinator. But he was also on staff with the Falcons with LaFleur back in the day. So Matt should have some familiarity there. Don't know if there's been any kind of request put in there, but that's a name I'd watch with interest, no doubt. Joe, what's up? Is Christian Parker the new Evero? It's quite possible. Christian Parker, for those of you who don't know, is indeed one of the confirmed interviewees for the Packers defensive coordinator position. He is currently the defensive backs coach in Denver. He worked under Evero and also worked under Mike Pettin. In fact, got his start in the NFL in Matt LaFleur's first season as head coach on Pettin's staff as a defensive quality control coach. He's only 32 years old, but another guy who is well regarded. He's also interviewed, I believe, in New England for their defensive coordinator position. Mayo seems to have interest in the young man. And again, another guy who pretty damn good reviews from everybody you talk to in the league. So young cat who maybe Matt thinks, oh, I want to bring him along. Love his ideas. I love his coaching ability. Maybe that's the fresh new young face for a brand new Packers defense. I'd be all about that life. I'll tell you that. What else we got here, folks? We got Abdul. How you doing, man? Hey, Aaron, are you surprised Evero wasn't one of the ones interviewed? Do you think there's any hard feelings because he wasn't picked last time? I doubt it. I think Matt's been pretty effusive in his praise. He certainly was the week leading up to the Panthers game. But I think he's at a different spot in his coaching career now. He's interviewing for head coaching jobs out in Seattle, a couple other places. And I do think that given the reports we got after Canales got the job in in Carolina, it sure sounds like they want to keep him as their defensive coordinator. They want to keep most of that defensive staff together. So I think if he doesn't get a head coaching job, he's going back to Carolina. And, undoubtedly that's been communicated to Matt. So can't say I'm surprised at that. Just feels like it's bad timing in that regard. Mike Witt, what's going on, man? I'm very intrigued by Christian Parker, Nags. Me too. I love the idea of Christian Parker. Look, I've met him like once in passing at training camp. Don't know the man at all. Seems very adept and competent, but most guys do out on a practice field, right? But I will say, like I said before, everyone you talk to really likes the guy. And I like the idea of a young coach growing alongside LaFleur into what would hopefully become, a championship program. I'm down with it. Now, what scheme he would run or what LaFleur would want him to run, I'm not quite sure. I mean, like I said, he worked under Evero in the Fangio tree. Maybe they keep elements of what Barry was running, get a little bit more input from LaFleur on what he wants, etc. It's possible. Or maybe they go a completely different direction. But yeah, again, I like the idea, but that's all it is an idea. I don't know the particulars. None of us do. And that's something to remember while you're reading coverage of the coaching search in any coaching search. You're going to see a lot of surface level analysis. You're going to see a lot of people connecting dots, and that's all well and good, and it's worthwhile. I get it. But we don't know anything really about what's being conversed and what's being asked in these interview sessions and what fit Matt LaFleur is looking for, or what any of these candidates are bringing to the table as far as now, here's how I would run things. We don't know. Like I said, guys spend their whole career leading up to this point for a shot to make their case as to why I should be the guy running your defense. Here's what I would do. And we don't know what that is. Sure, we know they coach this position group at another team, but that's all we know. That's not the sum of who they are or what they would do as defensive coordinator in Green Bay. Just try to remember that. I beg you. Bryson, what's going on, man? Steve Belichick is the answer. If he comes, he's bringing the emperor with him. Yeah, I think it's Chris on Twitter kind of pointed that out this morning. I love that. Another idea I love, especially when you look at the work he's done with his dad there in New England with a lot of pieces on defense that are pretty similar to what the Packers have. Again, and that's another idea that I love. Now, the fit, culture-wise, bringing his dad along, maybe his dad, maybe Bill is a senior consultant. I don't know. But yeah, I think that'd be an intriguing name to explore. Although it sounds like Mayo's going to keep him around. So I don't know. We'll see. And again, this is just a kind of initial first day of who LaFleur has asked to interview. So I'm sure there will be more names being added over the weekend. John, what's going on, man? I want a vet. Wink would be fantastic fit here, in my opinion. I mean, I like his pedigree as far as the style of defense he runs, but man, the ego is rampant. And that has been the word on him from years now. And I think that finally really boiled over with Dable there in New York, here in New York. I don't know. Is that a good fit for LaFleur? Is that what LaFleur? Well, you want someone fiery who's going to give him shit and stir the pot sometimes? I don't know. Again, comes down to what LaFleur is looking for. I suspect that's probably not what he's looking for, but that's all I can do is guess. Maximilian, thanks for being a Care of the G Club member. With poor performance despite heavy personnel emphasis, do we go after less ace special teamers this year? I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's hard to qualify them as ace personnel people or special teamers as opposed to guys they thought could help on special teams. I don't think any one of those signings was ever considered a silver bullet. I think they saw some real issues on special teams and tried to get some guys in there that could help flip things around. Now, you can talk about how they haven't really improved exponentially, but they're certainly better than they were under, say, Mo Drayton, which again, low bar. I get it. But I still think they will be on the lookout for guys who can help them on teams. I don't think you're just going to stop doing that. But I do think there'll be a bit more activity as far as maybe a signing or two that isn't specifically special teams driven. You got to remember last year they were driven by necessity to be incredibly thrifty. And while still not out of the woods in that regard, they got a little more wiggle room this offseason. Andrew's Paradise, what's going on, man? Confucius say Bears still suck. Go Pack Go. Wise man, Confucius. Wise man indeed. Cheeto, what's going on? Jim Leonard landed in Green Bay today. Valid source. Jim Leonard. Y'all are crazy about this Jim Leonard nonsense, which is what it is. Nonsense. John Simitovich, what's going on? Vikings and Bears love our sloppy seconds. Haha. They do indeed. John undoubtedly referring to the fact the report earlier this morning. Joe Barry today interviewing with the Eagles for their linebacker coach position, but tomorrow, oh, this is delicious. Interviewing with the Bears for their defensive coordinator position. Now, obviously, Eberflus is going to probably continue calling the plays as he did for much of the season after they parted ways with their former defensive coordinator. So I think Barry would be there to help game plan and things of that nature. But just Joe Barry with the Bears, oh my God, it'd be so beautiful. It'd be perfect. I mean, the narratives, the memes. Yeah, please, baby Jesus, I don't ask for a lot. I'm not a praying man, but if you're up there and you can hear me, please make Joe Barry the Bears defensive coordinator. I need it in my life. Oh, wow. It'd be amazing. Just amazing. Mark, what's going on? We should be playing this week. Mark! Why you got to bring me down, man? I was having a good Friday, chilling out, talking Packers, seeing who their new defensive coordinator is going to be. And you got to come up in here and talk about how they should be playing on Sunday. And you're right. Trying to get on with my life, man. Trying to get on with my life. Alexis asks, what's up with Jair? Nothing's up with Jair. He put up an Instagram post. Now he's going on with his life. We should as well as Packers fans. That's it. He'll be back next year. He's not going anywhere. Go Pack Go. That is it. Dale, good evening from London. Good evening from New York City, sir. I hope you're well. Chris, how you doing, man? Other notable 2017 draft running backs touches McCaffrey, 1,806. Kamara, 1,830. Cook, 1,585. Mixon, 1,854. Aaron Jones, 1,449. Very possible his best football is coming. He mentioned that with Larry McCarron on Packers.com, that he feels like he's just entering his prime. And even as an older back, you look at that production that he had this season when he finally got back into full rotation, as it were, down the stretch, final 5 games or so. It's hard to argue with the man now. He's got to stay on the field. It'd be nice to have him for a full season, but damn, can't argue with that output. I will tell you that. Mark, what's going on, man? Is Dick LeBeau out there? Wow, now that's a blast from the past. Holy cow. Luke, how are you, man? Hope the West Coast is treating you well. This is just for some good old cheese pizza. Enjoy 3 time with the girls. Our first little girl is due in 3 weeks. Little Packer fan incoming. Congratulations, Luke. Happy for you, man. Actually, funnily enough, I'm going out for pizza with the girls tonight, but a little later than usual because we're doing a special dinner for Madeline, my oldest, who is leaving on Sunday for the Disney college program, the internship. She's gonna be gone until May. My little baby's all grown up, so very, very proud of her. Um, can't even believe she's gonna be not in New York City for months on end. It's gonna be very, 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 very weird time in the Nagler clan, but really proud of her, obviously. Tyler, what's going on, man? This DC search feels more exciting than 2021, yeah? Does it? I don't know, Tyler. I don't know, man. We were coming off a sniffing of the Super Bowl, and now this time around we're coming off being 2 games away from the Super Bowl. Seems pretty similar to me. And also, we're only a day into it. We're not even 24 hours into it, really, as far as names and candidates and interviews and what have you. Maybe I'm just older, wiser, more cynical. That's probably it. And I'm probably too sober. I haven't started drinking yet, so I'll get on that. Vinicus, thank you for becoming a Care of the G Club member. Probably butchered your name, but I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Cheeto again, what's up? Yo, Mark, you crapped on my heart. Oh, why you got to go there, man? That ain't cool. Andrew's Paradise, what's going on? Confucius say, man with hole in pocket, feel cocky all day long. Wow, we're getting borderline blue here, man. What the hell? I'm gonna have to shut it down. Mike, who's the worst defensive coordinator available? That's who the Packers will hire. Mike, you are a true Packers fan, and I salute you. Vinicus again, thank you so much. Good afternoon from Brazil, Nags. Let's hope Joe Barry gets a second chance to build his legacy in Green Bay by simply being himself in Chicago. Man, I like Joe Barry as a dude, but it is going to be hilarious if he gets on board with Chicago and the Packers walk up and down the field on their defense while he's there. Baby. I love this idea. Chris, what's going on, man? What's up, sir? Slay the Lion, take the North 2024. There you go. There you go. So I take it you will not be rooting for the Lions on Sunday, which is totally understandable. But yes, that's the first goal, right? Look, I know we want to make another run in the playoffs, hopefully deep into the playoffs. Hell, maybe even a Super Bowl appearance. But the first goal is to take that division back. That's our house, man. We own the North. Got to take it to them. We certainly did on Thanksgiving. We put them on notice. Autumn, thank you for the super chat. Don't you think Matt understands the importance of this DC decision and isn't going to just go with anyone? I mean, yes, but the phrasing of your question makes it sound like he went with just anyone last time around. And I don't think that was the case. I know we weren't all very thrilled with the results of the search, but there's none of this that he takes lightly. I mean, I know it's very easy online in general. I was going to say on Twitter, but hell, on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever your platform you're on, it's all very transient and somewhat easy to throw out names and say why you like them or don't like them and blah, blah, blah. There is way too much work that goes into what they do in general in the NFL, but specifically when you're hiring someone for your staff. Yeah, he's not going to hire just anyone. It's an insanely important position at the jump, let alone the fact that this will be his third defensive coordinator that he absolutely 1000% needs to nail. And he's what? Going to be entering year 3 of a 5-year contract. He messes up this hire, then we're talking about his seat maybe getting a little warmer in 2025. Who knows? So, yeah, everything they do is pretty intentional. And there's never a case where they're just, we'll just hire anyone. Maybe I'm reading your phrasing wrong, but that ain't how Matt is ever going to go about it. She said, Joey, how you doing? Am I the only one who doesn't hate the idea of Brandon Staley? He had a top defense in 2020, bad switch situation with the Chargers. I'm glad you brought that up, Joey. I don't hate the idea. I do dislike it. How's that? Simply because I didn't see a well coordinated defense at any point in his tenure with the Chargers. And I understand you're a head guy, you got a lot more on your plate, etc. But when you're seeing repeated mistakes, not only throughout a season, but multiple seasons, bad communication on the back end, really kind of suspect run fits and repeating of mistakes, it's hard for me to sit here and get enthused about it, right? Like, yes, to your point, excellent defense there with the Rams, no doubt about it. And I know the joke is, well, is he bringing Aaron Donald? And I think there's some validity to that, right? Like, you can't dismiss that. Like, oh, wow, yes, he had a great defense with a force multiplier along the front and probably a force multiplier at corner with, I just, yeah, but all of that said, it goes back to what I was talking about at the top of the stream, right? It doesn't matter what he's done in the past. It matters what Matt is going to ask him to do and how they see working together, what their vision is, what tweaks they're going to make to whatever scheme they want to run. And ultimately, that's Matt's call, right? I mean, all the gnashing of teeth by the fans doesn't mean anything. So, yeah, I mean, he's not my first choice. He's not the one I'm rooting for, but am I going to be upset if he hires him? No. I'm just going to need Staley to prove it to me. That's all. Can the Lions and 49ers both lose? I don't think that's a possibility, but maybe they set a record. Who knows? Bo, thanks for the super chat, man. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we hire an ex-head coach as DC after Rodgers' first year? Staley locked in Super Bowl in year 2. Yeah. The old Dom Capers route, right? I mean, in this movie, the role of Bob Sanders is being played by Joe Barry, and Dom Capers will be played by Brandon Staley. Bo, I like the way you think. David, how you doing, man? Your post earlier about Babich and nepotism, can you explain? I was lost. Oh, it's just his dad. His dad is, Bob Babich, who old heads like myself remember as the defensive coordinator for the Bears a decade and a half ago or whatever. Man, no one should take any of those gifts seriously. I'm having fun on the internet. Like, people are like, I don't see any nepotism here. Like, well, no, he's not related to LaFleur, but he did get his foot in the door as an NFL coach because his dad is a longtime coach. I mean, that's not telling tales out of school, you know? People be so, I'm not saying you are, man, but people get so offended and so upset on behalf of other people who they have never met and never will. That's what's so hilarious. But yeah, he's a coach in the NFL. More often than not, this happens because you have a connection or two. Sometimes you work your way up the ladder, and that's awesome, and we celebrate it. But when your dad is Bob Babich, yeah, Bobby Babich has a gig because of his dad. Nothing wrong with saying that. I just think it's funny. Chris, how you doing, man? I do feel more of a sense of urgency from Matt LaFleur, though. Well, I think you can get that sense from the outside because of the rapid firings of Joe Barry and Chris Gizzi, one after the other, immediately after he met with the media on Monday, to have that kind of go down, so to speak, less than 24 hours later when he had just said, oh, I'm going to take my time, my own pace, etc. Last year, that meant we waited a while. Don't forget, like, Barry was kind of hanging in the balance for a few days. And then the indication was he was going to bring him back. That was not the case this year. So it definitely feels a little bit more urgent this year. But I do think some of that is because when you've made the decision to move on, you want as many candidates out there as possible to choose from, right? And if you take your time and you wait the week, well, then a lot of these people are going to start getting hired. So, but I feel you, man. I feel you. Got to get out ahead of it. Skylar, how are you? Matt seems to be casting a wide net schematically with a lot of the interviews, pulling from Dan Quinn, Vic Fangio, etc. Makes me hopeful. Skylar, yeah, that kind of goes back to what I was talking about at the top. Like, there's a vision that the head coach is going to have. You want to hire the coach. You don't want to hire the scheme, right? And I do think maybe, perhaps, he got caught in that with Barry, someone who he did know very well, but he wanted to run a specific type of defense, a specific scheme that he knew Barry was familiar with, so he thought could implement it, etc. But to your point, it does feel like he's, looking at the coaches, and that's good. I think that's a very good thing. Because again, it's his vision. It's what he wants that he's going to marry with this guy, his experience, what he comes to the table with schematically, technique wise, so they can work together as a partnership. That's the dream. Chris, thanks again, man. I had 3 things on a checklist this offseason. Fire Joe Barry? Check. Sign Micah Hyde? Question mark. Sign Mike Evans? Question mark. Thoughts? I consider that a success. Well, I'm glad you got 1 out of 3 because you ain't getting the other 2. Sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings, but what's the line from Parenthood? Let's come back from La La Land because that ain't gonna happen. Smooterino, what's going on, man? Athletic guys made good defense of Staley. He was only guy to get a good defense out of Donald Ramsey pairing. He was playing 4D chess that season. I mean, it certainly helped that he had those guys, but I also agree. Yeah, he did a nice job getting the most out of everybody in that situation where you did see a drop off after he was removed from the situation. Like he obviously went on and got a head coaching job, but yeah, I think again, I don't think he's a bad coach per se, but I just saw troubling things year after year with the Chargers that make you maybe pause a little bit. That's all. Ed Pierce, what's going on? I don't view the Lions with the same lens as the Bears and Vikings. I wish them well until we destroy their will to exist next season. Ed, that is perfectly stated. Could not agree more. All right, I'm going to have to get going. I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Please do me a monster favor. Hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family, Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great weekend. Go Pack Go.